Imagine being taken from your home, bound by tradition, and placed in a foreign village where your freedom is a distant dream. This is the story of Neria, a brave young woman caught in the grips of ancient Shona practice of Kuzharira, a tradition where families trade daughters for wealth and alliances. Journey with Neria as she faces daunting challenges, discovers unexpected friends, and fights for her right to freedom in a gripping tale that reveals the hidden struggles and enduring spirit behind this historical practice. Will she find a way back to her family, or will the chains of tradition forever bind her? Let's find out. The promise. In the heart of the dry, dusty plains of Beatrice village, the sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked earth. Mika, a humble farmer with a kind face and tired eyes, looked out over his withering fields. His crops, once green and bountiful, were now shriveled and brown, scorched by the unforgiving drought. His family was hungry. His children's once bright laughter had faded, replaced by whispers of hunger in the wind. Mika's wife, Maria, spoke to him softly as they sat round the small cooking fire that night. "We cannot let our children starve," she whispered, her voice filled with worry. Mika nodded, his heart heavy. He knew what he had to do, but the decision felt like a stone pressing down on his chest. The next morning, he visited the village elders and told them of his plan. He would give his only daughter, Neria, in marriage to Chief Chaka. The chief was wealthy, with many cattle and granaries full of food. In return, Chief Chaka would provide enough food and livestock to save Mika's family from starvation. The elders nodded solemnly. It was a common practice called kuzharira, an old tradition where families would offer their daughters in exchange for wealth or survival. But as Mika spoke, he felt a deep ache in his heart. He knew that this was not just a transaction, it was a choice that would change his daughter's life forever. That night, as Mika lay beside his wife under the open sky, he whispered, "Have I done the right thing?" Maria, with tears in her eyes, could only hold his hand. "We have no other choice," she replied, but in her heart, she wondered if there could have been another way. Neria's fears. Neria was a bright and spirited girl with wide eyes that sparkled like the stars. She loved to run through the fields, her laughter echoing through the village like the song of a bird. She would often sit under the old muput tree with her best friend Rita, weaving grass mats or playing games with stones. One afternoon, as she sat braiding Rita's hair, she heard the parents speaking in low voices. Curious, she crept closer and listened. Her heart sank as she heard her father say, "Chief Chaka will take her in exchange for food and cattle." Neria gasped, her hands trembling. She ran to her grandmother, Grandma Nyasha, who sat in the shade, knitting with her old, clasped hands. Go, is it true? Will I be given to the chief?" she asked, her voice breaking. Grandma Nyasha looked at her with wise, knowing eyes. "Yes, my child, but remember, you are strong like the baobab tree," she said gently. "Do not let fear consume you. Your spirit is free no matter where you go. Neria nodded, but tears filled her eyes. She could not imagine leaving her family, her friends, or the village she loved so much. She wanted to stay and dance under the moonlight, not be sent away to a place she did not know. That night, as she lay on a mat, she whispered to herself, I will be brave, I will be strong. The village gathers. The news spread quickly through Beatrice village. The villagers gathered under the great muput tree where the elders held their meetings. The air was thick with whispers and concerned looks. Some villagers shook their heads while others nodded in agreement with Mika's decision. Elder, the village healer, and the wisest elder stood up to speak. Kuzarira has been our way for many generations, she said, a voice strong but kind. But should we continue this practice when it brings sorrow to our children? The villagers murmured among themselves, unsure of how to respond. Some, like Farai's father, spoke in favor of Mika. He is only doing what any father would do to save his family, Farai's father argued. In these times, we must make difficult choices. Others, like Mama Chieza, felt differently. But what of Neria's happiness? Shouldn't her wishes matter too? She asked, her voice trembling with emotion. That evening, Gogobongai visited Mika. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and said, I know you are doing this out of love, but remember that a child's laughter is worth more than gold. Do not forget her spirit. Mika nodded, but his heart remained heavy. He knew the decision had been made. Chief Chaka's arrival. The day arrived when Chief Chaka came to the village. He arrived with his entourage, dressed in fine robes with bright beads that glistened in the sun. The villagers gathered to watch as he approached Mika's home. Chief Chaka spoke loudly, his voice booming across the village square. Mika has made a wise decision, he declared. I'll take his daughter as my wife, and in return his family will have all they need. He gestured to his servants, who unloaded sacks of maize, baskets of dried fish, and several head of cattle. The crowd murmured with admiration and envy, but Neria, hiding behind her mother, could see only the stern lines on the chief's face and the coldness in his eyes. She felt a shiver run down her spine. I don't want to go, she whispered to herself, clutching her mother's hand tightly. Chief Chaka smiled at Neria, but there was something in his smile that made her uneasy. She could feel his eyes watching her, assessing her. She turned away, a tear escaping her eye. I must be brave, she told herself again, but the fear in her heart grew stronger. Neria's goodbye. The morning of Neria's departure was filled with a heavy silence. The villagers gathered once more to bid her farewell. Her mother dressed her in a beautiful new dress made of colorful cloth, and her father gave her a small clay pot, a family heirloom, to remember them by. As Neria walked down the path with her parents, the village children watched with wide eyes. Rita, her best friend, ran to her with a small bracelet made of seeds. Keep this with you always, Rita whispered. Never forget who you are. Neria hugged her friend tightly, trying to hold back her tears. I won't, she promised. I'll come back one day. But as she turned to leave, she felt a heavy weight in her chest. Would she ever see a village again? Would she ever be free? As she climbed onto the wooden cart that would take her away, she looked back at her village one last time. The old Mfuti tree stood tall and strong, its leaves rustling in the wind as if waving goodbye. Neria wiped away her tears and whispered, "I'll be strong. I'll find a way back home." The journey to Chaka's village. The journey to Chief Chaka's village was long and tiring. The sun hung low in the sky and the dust from the path clung to Neria's skin. She sat quietly in the wooden cart, feeling every bump and jolt as it rolled over the uneven ground. Her father walked beside her, his head low, while the chief's guards marched around them, keeping a close eye on everything. Neria tried to keep her spirits up. She watched the trees pass by, their leaves dancing in the wind. She counted the birds that flew overhead and small animals that darted through the bushes. But no matter how hard she tried, the fear in her heart would not go away. Why must I go so far from home? She wondered. Why must I leave everything I love? She looked at her father, hoping he might turn and smile at her, but his face was filled with worry and guilt. He seemed lost in his thoughts, his steps heavy. The day turned to night and the sky filled with stars. Neria's father, Mika, sat beside her in the cart for a while, telling her stories of her ancestors to calm her fears. Your great grandmother was a strong woman, he said softly. She crossed rivers and climbed mountains. Her spirit is with you. Neria nodded, but her heart was still heavy. Will I ever see you again, Baba? She asked, her voice small. Mika took a deep breath, his eyes moist with unshed tears. One day, my child, he replied, the wind will carry you back to where you belong. He tried to smile, but it was a smile filled with sadness. As they journeyed on, Neria whispered to herself, I must be brave. I must be strong. I'll find a way to be free. The cold reception. After 2 long days, they finally reached Chief Chaka's village. The village was much larger than the Beatrice village, with tall wooden fences and large huts built with mud and straw. As they entered, people stared at Neria, whispering to one another. She felt their eyes on her, and she clutched the bracelet from Rita tighter. The chief's village was filled with sounds, children playing, women pounding maize, and men sharpening tools. But Neria noticed that despite the noise, there were few smiles. The people moved about their tasks with serious faces, avoiding eye contact with the chief's guards. Chief Chaka's wife stood at the entrance to his large compound, waiting for the new girl. There were 3 wives. Mama T, a tall, gentle woman with kind eyes. Mama Mo, whose face was filled with curiosity, and Mama Tino, who stood with her arms crossed, looking displeased. Welcome to your new home, Mama T said, trying to smile. Neria could see the pity in her eyes. Mama Mo stepped forward and touched her shoulder lightly. You are very young, she said softly, almost to herself. But Mama Tino, the youngest wife, frowned. Another mouth to feed, she muttered under her breath. Nelia felt her heart sink even lower. Chief Chaka watched this exchange with a stern expression. Nelia will learn quickly, he said firmly. She's here to work and save her new family. His voice was commanding, leaving no room for argument. Neria realized that her new life would not be easy. She missed her mother's gentle hands. Neria meets her new family. The next morning, Neria was awakened by the crowing of a rooster. She sat up quickly, remembering that she was no longer at home. She looked around the small hut she had been given, feeling a lump in her throat. She was alone. Mama T came to her with a bowl of porridge. Eat, child, she said kindly. You will need your strength. Neria nodded and began to eat slowly, her mind still filled with thoughts of her family. Mama T sat down beside her. I know it is hard to be away from home, she said gently, but you are strong and you will learn. After breakfast, Neria was introduced to the daily tasks of the household. She helped Mama Mo fetch water from the river, carried firewood with Mama T, and learned how to grind maize. The work was hard, and her hands soon became rough and blistered. She missed the laughter of her friends and the freedom to run and play. Mama Tino, however, did not seem to like Neria. She often gave her extra chores and scolded her for small mistakes. You are here to work, not to be a child, she snapped one day when Nelia accidentally spilled some grain. Nelia bit her lip, holding back her tears. She knew she had to stay strong. That evening, as they sat around the cooking fire, Nelia listened to the stories of the other wives. She learned that Mama T was from a village far away and had been given to the chief just like her. Mama Mo had come willingly, hoping for a better life, but now seemed unsure. And Mama Tino, the youngest, had once been happy, but now seemed filled with bitterness. Neria realized that each of these women had their own story, their own pain, and their own hopes. She wondered what her own story would become in this new place. The first test. A week passed and Chief Chaka decided it was time to test Neria's ability to work. He called her to his hut one morning and placed a large sack of maize before her. Grind this maize until it is fine, until enough for my table. He commanded, do not stop until it is done. Neria stared at the sack. It was much bigger than any she had seen before. Her small hands trembled, but she remembered her grandmother's words. You are like the baobab tree, strong and unyielding. She nodded and set to work. Hour after hour, Neria pounded the maize with a heavy wooden pestle. Sweat poured down her face and her arms ached, but she did not complain. Mama T and Mama Mo watched her from a distance, whispering to each other. Even Mama Tino paused to look, her expression unreadable. By midday, Neria's hands were blistered and her legs felt weak. She could barely lift the pestle, but she kept going. Her heart was filled with a quiet determination. I will not give up, she whispered to herself. I'll show them that I am strong. When the sun began to set, Neria finally finished. She stood up slowly, her body aching all over. Chief Chaka inspected the maize, nodding with approval. You have done well, he said. You have shown strength, but remember, this is only the beginning. Neria nodded, hiding exhaustion. She felt a small sense of pride in her heart. She had passed the first test, but she knew there would be many more to come. The kind stranger. One day, while fetching water from the river, Neria noticed a boy watching her from a distance. He was about her age, with bright eyes and a friendly smile. He came closer and introduced himself as Kuda, a shepherd boy from a nearby village who often came to Chief Chaga's village to sell milk and cheese. You look sad, Kuda said, tilting his head. Why do you not smile like other children? Neria hesitated, but there was something kind in Kuda's eyes that made her feel safe. I miss my home, she admitted softly. I was brought here and I do not know if I'll ever see my family again. Kuda nodded, understanding in his gaze. I also miss my home when I am away, he replied. But there's freedom in dreams. When you close your eyes, you can be anywhere you want. Neria smiled a little. That is a nice thought, she said, but dreams cannot take me back to my family. Kuda reached into his pocket and pulled out a small carved bird made of wood. Take this, he said, placing it in her hand. When you feel lost, hold it close. Remember, you are free in your dreams, even if you are not free in your body. Neria held the bed tightly and felt a small spark of hope in her heart. Thank you, Kuda, she whispered. For the first time in days, she felt a little less alone. The growing friendship. Over the next few weeks, Kuda and Neria's friendship grew stronger. Every time he came to the village to sell milk and cheese, he would find a way to meet her. They would sit by the river under the shade of the big baobab tree, sharing stories and secrets. Kuda would tell her tales of faraway places he had heard about from travelers, and Neria would laugh, his spirit lifting for the first time since she left the Beatrice village. Kuda's presence became a light in Neria's dark days. He would bring her small gifts, a bright feather from a bird, a handful of wild berries, or a smooth stone shaped like a heart to remind you that there is beauty even in difficult times. You would say with a grin. Neria began to feel less lonely. She still missed her family and her village, but Kuda's kindness made her feel a little braver. She kept the wooden bird he had given her close, and when she felt sad or scared, she would hold it tight and think of his words. You are free in your dreams. One day, while sitting by the river, Neria asked Kuda, do you think I'll ever be able to go back home? Kuda looked thoughtful. I believe that if you truly wish for something with all your heart, the world will find a way to make it happen. He replied, but you must be strong and patient. Neria nodded, feeling a warm glow of hope in her chest. She decided that she would not give up. She would find a way to return to her family one day, no matter how long it took. The chief's challenge. One hot afternoon, Chief Chaka summoned Neria to his hut. His face was stern, his eyes sharp as he spoke. Neria, I've heard of your friendship with the shepherd boy, Kuda. He said, I do not like my servants to mingle with outsiders. You must focus on your duties here. Neria's heart raced. She did not want to lose the one friend who made their days brighter. She bowed her head respectfully. I understand, Chief Chaka, she replied, but Kuda is kind and brings me comfort. He means no harm. The chief frowned. Kindness is not what you were brought here for. He replied, you are here to serve and obey. If you wish to stay in my good graces, you must prove yourself worthy. Neria felt a chill run down her spine. How can I prove myself, Chief Chuck? She asked, trying to hide her fear. The chief's eyes gleamed with a slight smile. There is field beyond the hills, filled with stubborn weeds that no one has been able to clear. If you can clear that field by the end of the week, I'll consider your request. But if you fail, his voice trailed off, leaving the unspoken threat hanging in the air. Neria swallowed hard. The task seemed impossible, but she knew she had no choice. She nodded bravely. I'll do my best, Chief Chaka, she promised. As she left the chief's hut, she whispered to herself, I must be brave. I must be strong. I will not let him break my spirit. The impossible task. The next morning, Neria set out early to the field beyond the hills. When she arrived, her heart sank. The field was vast, overgrown with thick, thorny weeds that seemed to stretch on forever. She could feel tears prickling her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. I will not give up, she told herself firmly. She picked up a hoe and began to work, pulling at the stubborn weeds with all her strength. The sun was hot and her hands soon became blistered, but she kept going, determined to prove herself. Hours passed and Neria worked tirelessly, but the field seemed no smaller than when she had started. She felt her hope fading, but she remembered Kuda's words. If you wish for something with all your heart, the world will find a way. Suddenly she heard a rustle in the bushes. She turned to see Kuda standing there with a smile. I heard about the chief's challenge, he said. I came to help. Neria's heart lifted, but the chief said, I know what the chief said, Kuda interrupted, but I am not afraid of him, and neither should you be. He grabbed a hoe and began to work beside her. Together they pulled at the weeds, their laughter mingling with the songs of the birds. With Kuda by her side, the task no longer felt impossible. The day grew long, but they kept working, determined to finish what they had started. A plan is hatched. As the days went on, Neria and Kuda worked together in the field. They would start at dawn and work until the sun dipped below the horizon. Kuda would sing songs to make the work feel lighter, and Neria would share stories from her village to make him laugh. Slowly but surely, the field began to clear. One evening, as they rested under the shade of a tree, Kuda turned to Neria with a serious look. Neria, what if there was a way for you to escape and return to your village? He asked quietly. Neria's eyes widened. Escape? She whispered. But how? The chief has many guards and his village is far from home. Kuda leaned in closer, lowering his voice. I've been thinking about this for some time. There is a path through the forest that leads to the river. If we follow it, we can reach your village in few days. I know the way. Neria's heart raced with excitement but also fear. What if we are caught? She asked. The chief will be furious and my family may suffer. Kuda nodded thoughtfully. It is a risk, he admitted, but staying here, trapped like a bird in a cage, is no life for you, Neria. You deserve to be free. Neria felt a surge of hope. I must think about it, she said finally. But thank you, Kuda. Thank you for giving me hope. That night, as Neria lay on a mat, she thought about Kuda's plan. Her heart yearned to return home, but she knew the dangers were real. She closed her eyes, clutching the wooden bird tightly. I'll find a way, she whispered. I'll be free. The field is cleared. By the end of the week, the field was almost completely cleared. Neria and Kuda had worked hard, and their efforts had paid off. The once wild, thorny field was now open and ready for planting. When Chief Chaka came to inspect the field, his face was filled with surprise. You have done well, Neria, he admitted reluctantly. You have cleared the field as I asked. Neria bowed her head respectfully. Thank you, Chief Chaka, she replied, her voice steady. I did as you requested. The chief nodded. You have proven your worth, he said, but remember, this is just the beginning. There will be more work, and you must continue to serve faithfully. Neria nodded, hiding her relief. She knew she had passed another test, but she also knew that her journey was far from over. She glanced at Kuda, who stood nearby with a small smile. She felt a surge of gratitude. He had been her strength when she needed it most. As they walked back to the village, Kuda whispered, "Remember what we talked about. The path is there whenever you are ready." Neria nodded, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. She knew that soon she would have to make a choice that could change her life forever. A difficult decision. That night, Neria could not sleep. She lay awake, thinking about the path Kuda had mentioned, the path that could lead her back to a village and a family. But she also thought about her father, Mika, and the promise he had made to Chief Chaka. She did not want to bring shame or trouble to her family. She decided to speak to Mama T, the kindest of the chief's wives. "Mama T," she whispered the next morning as they fetched water from the river, "I do not know what to do. I miss my family, but I do not want to hurt anyone." Mama T sighed, her eyes filled with understanding. "You are young and your heart is torn," she said softly. "But remember, my child, your spirit is your own. Only you can decide what is right for you." Neria nodded, feeling a little comforted by Mama T's words. "But if I leave, the chief will be angry," she said. He might take it out on my family." Mama T placed a hand on her shoulder. "The chief may be powerful, but he is not all powerful," she replied. "Sometimes we must take risks, find our true path." Neria felt a sense of calm wash over her. She knew what she had to do. She would take the risk, but she would be smart about it. She would find a way to return home without bringing a family into danger. The secret escape. Over the next few days, Neria and Kuda began to secretly plan a escape. They would meet in the evenings by the river, talking in hushed voices while making sure no one was watching. Kuda shared details of the forest path they would take and the dangers they might face along the way. "We must leave at dawn," Kuda whispered one night. "That's when the guards change and no one will notice us missing until we are far away." Neria nodded, her heart pounding. "I will pack only what I need," she replied, "and I will wear the clothes of a village girl so I do not stand out." Kuda smiled. "You are brave, Neria. Remember, we must move quickly and stay hidden. If we keep to the path, we will reach the river by the third day." The night before they were to leave, Neria went to Mama T and quietly said goodbye. "I may not see you again," she whispered, tears in her eyes, "but I will never forget your kindness." Mama T hugged her tightly. "Be safe, Neria. May the spirits guide you on your journey." Neria nodded, then slipped back to her hut to prepare. She took only a small bag with a few clothes, some dried food, and the wooden bed Kuda had given her. She held it close to her heart, feeling its smooth surface with her fingers. As the first light of dawn broke, Neria crept out of her hut and made her way to the riverbank, where Kuda was waiting with a small boat. "Are you ready?" he asked, his eyes serious but filled with determination. "Yes," Neria replied, taking a deep breath. "I'm ready." Together they pushed the boat into the water and climbed in, paddling swiftly down the river, leaving the village behind. Neria felt the cool breeze on her face and the thrill of freedom in her heart. She knew there was no turning back now. Into the forest, the river flowed fast, carrying Neria and Kuda deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller and thicker, their branches reaching out like long arms. The air was filled with the sounds of birds chirping and monkeys chattering. Neria felt a mix of fear and excitement. She had never been this far from home before. Kuda paddled skillfully, guiding the boat along the river's curves. "We must keep moving," he said, glancing back at her. "The forest is dense, but it will hide us from anyone who tries to follow." Neria nodded, gripping the sides of the boat tightly. I trust you, Kuda, she replied, feeling her heart beat fast in her chest. They paddled for hours, only stopping briefly to drink water or eat a small piece of dried meat. Neria's arms ached, but she did not complain. She knew they had to keep going. As the sun began to set, they reached a narrow part of the river where they had to leave the boat and continue on foot. Kuda pulled the boat to the shore and helped Neria climb out. From here, we followed the path through the trees, he said. It is not far now, but we must be careful. The forest is alive at night. Neria shivered but nodded. I am not afraid, she whispered. I'll follow you. They walked silently, the forest darkening around them. Neria could hear the sounds of owls hooting and branches cracking underfoot. She held Kuda's hand tightly, feeling the weight of the darkness pressing down on them, but she kept moving, one step at a time, knowing that freedom lay ahead. The chase. As they made their way through the dense forest, Neri and Kuda heard distant voices behind them. They froze, listening carefully. The voices grew louder, and they could make out the angry shouts of Chief Chaka's guards. They've discovered we are gone, Kuda whispered, his face tense. We must move faster. Neria's heart pounded in her chest. What if they catch us? She asked, fear creeping into her voice. They won't, Kuda replied, his eyes fierce. We know this forest better than they do. Follow me and stay close. They began to run, dodging branches and leaping over fallen logs. Neria's breath came in sharp gasps, but she kept going, refusing to slow down. The voices of the guards seemed to be getting closer. She could hear the dogs barking and the sound of footsteps crashing the undergrowth. Kuda led them down a narrow path that wound through the thick trees. We are almost there, he whispered. There is a small cave ahead where we can hide until they pass. Neria nodded, pushing herself to keep up. Her legs felt like they were on fire, but she kept running, her heart filled with the determination. Suddenly, they heard a loud shout. There! I see them! One of the guards yelled. Neria glanced back and saw the flicker of torches in the distance. She felt panic rise in her chest, but Kuda grabbed her hand. Don't look back, he urged. Just keep running. They sprinted ahead and they soon reached the cave. Kuda pulled Neria inside and they crouched down, hiding in the shadows. They held their breath, listening as the guards' voices grew louder. The guards passed by, their torches lighting up the forest, but they did not see the cave. After a few tense moments, their voices faded away into the distance. Neria let out a sigh of relief. We did it, she whispered, her eyes wide with gratitude. Kuda smiled. We are not yet safe, but we are closer than ever. Come, let's keep moving while we still have time. The return home. After what felt like hours, Neria and Kuda finally emerged from the dense forest. In the distance, they saw the familiar fields and huts of the Beatrice village. Neria's village. Tears filled Neria's eyes as she saw her home again, so close after so many weeks away. We made it, she cried, hugging Kuda tightly. Thank you, Kuda. Thank you for everything. Kuda smiled, though he looked tired. I told you would find a way, he said. Now go, Neria, go to your family. Neria nodded and began to run towards the village. She could see the villagers gathering, their faces filled with surprise and curiosity. She spotted her father, Mika, standing at the front, his eyes wide with disbelief. Baba, she shouted, running into his arms. Mika embraced her tightly, tears streaming down his face. Neria, my child, I thought I had lost you, he sobbed. How did you come back? Nadia pulled back, smiling through her tears. I had help, she replied, looking back at Kuda, who stood at a distance watching with a soft smile. The villagers crowded around asking questions, but Mika held up his hand. Let her speak, he said gently. Neria, tell us what happened. Neria took a deep breath and began to tell her story. She spoke of the chief's harshness, the kindness of Mama T, and the courage of Kuda. She told them how she had escaped through the forest and how Kuda had helped her find her way home. When she finished, there was silence. Then, one by one, the villagers began to cheer, clapping and shouting her name. They were amazed at her bravery and the friendship that had brought her back. Mika hugged her again. I'm so proud of you, my daughter, he whispered. You've shown great courage and strength. Neria smiled. I only did what I had to, Baba, she replied softly. I could not let them take away my freedom. That evening, the village celebrated Neria's return with a great feast. There was singing, dancing, and laughter all around. Neria felt joy in her heart like never before. She was home, surrounded by the people she loved. As the stars filled the night, Neria looked up and whispered a silent prayer of thanks. She knew her journey was not over, but she had learned the power of courage, friendship, and the importance of freedom. Kuda stayed for the feast, enjoying the warm welcome of Neria's village. As the night grew late, he said goodbye, knowing he had to return to his own village. Will I see you again, Kuda? Neria asked, her eyes filled with hope. Kuda smiled. I will always be near, he replied. And remember, Neria, you are free in your dreams and your heart. With that, he turned and disappeared into the night, leaving Neria with a heart full of gratitude and the knowledge that she had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so Neria's story became a legend in a village, a tale of bravery and hope that would be told for generations to come. Summary conclusion, taking a reflection. Neria's story highlights both the beauty and the challenges of the traditional Shona practice of kuzvarira. While it illustrates the strong bonds of community and the support that can emerge from seemingly difficult situations, it also brings to light the more troubling aspects of this practice. Kuzvarira, the arrangement where a family gives their daughter in marriage, often in exchange for resources, underscores the significant value placed on material wealth and social obligations. This tradition, rooted in historical context, aimed to strengthen alliances and support families. However, it also had negative consequences. For Neria, it meant leaving a family and being placed in a position where her freedom and personal desires were severely restricted. The practice of kuzvarira sometimes led to women feeling trapped, their autonomy compromised by societal expectations and family decisions. Neria's journey reveals how such traditions could result in emotional distress, loss of personal freedom, and feelings of isolation. The story also exposes the harsh reality of being forced into roles and relationships without regard for individual happiness or consent. In the end, Neria's escape and return to a village symbolizes a desire for freedom and self-determination, reflecting a universal yearning for personal choice and respect. While traditions like Kuzvarira have deep cultural roots, they also prompt important discussions about evolving practices to ensure that individual rights and personal well-being are respected and upheld. Through Neria's courage, we are reminded of the need to balance cultural practices with empathy and the acknowledgement of each person's right to choose their own path in life. The end. Feel free to leave comments, questions, and please do subscribe